What's up? Yeah, sounds good. You doing okay? Spring colors, springtime.
Me and Brandon kind of match.
Nice. So good job on the cards, you know, it's good news. You, did you get your masks? From Danielle?
Albuquerque's?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got them last week. Oh, hers didn't fit her very well, but she's doing some adjusting, so, yeah. Yeah, because it slides down when I move my mouth.
This is a challenge we all have. Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, but thank you. Yes.
And great picture in the New Mexican.
Really?
You see
I
it?
haven't seen it yet,
I think
no.
you were on the front page on Sunday.
Oh, wow. I was out of town, so.
Santa Fe,
I was camping
Santa
all
Fe
weekend, I
paper.
don't know.
All right, let's see. So we ready?
Nice.
All right. Very good. Well, good morning, and welcome to one of our 11:30 updates on a number of items, especially things Corona-related. And today we are going to talk about some different things happening in central New Mexico, and then we're going to really touch on two topics. Number one, the restaurant patio order that the state has set forth yesterday, what that means for Albuquerque, whether we're going to allow it, whether we're not, how we're going to do it. So we're going to be going over that today with our Director of Planning, Brendan Williams. And then we're also going to give a little bit of an update on APD over the weekend, what happened with respect to different things on Memorial Day, and also where we're at in terms of recruiting. So we have our Director of Recruiting here, Director Romo. So with that, let's begin with some items from our Joint Information Center. First, Walmart's COVID-19 testing hours have changed. So as a heads up to folks, there are now, they're Monday through Friday from 7 to 9, and that's at the Academy, Carlisle, and Coors locations. So one in sort of central Albuquerque, one in the Northeast Heights, and one on the west side. Also, with respect to testing, we want to remind everyone that Casa de Salud is offering free COVID-19 testing in a partnership with the State Department of Health. And that is drive-up and walk-through testing every Wednesday morning from 8 to 9. And that is a reminder, that's in the South Valley. That's Casa de Salud. And also they have bilingual capabilities there. We'd like folks to register for that. If not, you can show up, but we'd prefer that you call 907-8311 to try and get you registered so you can get in there and get your test. As a reminder, the State Public Education Department has reached out to all parents, including myself, with a survey about going into schooling next year. So a reminder to please fill out that survey. I think they're due very soon. It's an online survey, and it's going to really inform what school looks like going into the next year. And again, those go down to our school district, so PED will be sharing that with APS. And want to mention that's going through the New Mexico School Reentry Task Force. You can learn more about that at PED's website and to access the survey. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Memorial Day weekend. It's been a couple of days since then, obviously, but we do want to touch on some items with respect to our police department. And in general, actually, it was a quiet Memorial Day weekend, relatively speaking. Memorial Day weekend's always kind of a big deal everywhere, but also in the 505 and in the Duke City. And so we had plenty of things going on, but relatively speaking, it was much, much tamer than historically, and that is a really good thing. So I want to thank everyone in Albuquerque for really respecting as best they can the different stay-at-home social distancing orders, and by and large freeing up time and resources for our police department to actually deal with crime issues. A couple of things that they worked on. We continue to work on our street racing operation. I'm going to go over a breakdown from that from our Valley Area Command. I also want to mention that Friday and Saturday we had a combined 28 calls. That's very low for Memorial Day weekend. That's a good thing, actually. And we'll also share what we did with respect to these pop-up roadside mask sellers. So first, in terms of our tactical plan from the Valley Area Command For the last 3 Sundays, we've been really just watching the street racing issue. And as a reminder, we talked about what it is. A reminder, this is not the sanctioned cruising that we actually work with the car clubs on. That's something that we celebrate and as a proud tradition. This is something that is actually much more dangerous and often violent and is often combined with a lot of other illegal activities. This tends to be high-speed racing on motorcycle and cars. That's what we're talking about with respect to this. And so for that, we've had 193 traffic citations, 5 felony arrests, 7 DWI arrests, 7 recovered handguns, 14 vehicles towed, 1 misdemeanor summons for negligent use of a firearms, and some other education efforts that happened for folks who were not cited. Now, with respect to these counterfeit masks, I got a lot of questions about these sellers, and we put APD and our planning department to sort of check in on what's going on with these over the weekend, and so we did that. We responded at 2 locations, one on Montgomery and Lomas Boulevard, and also another one on, I think it was San Mateo and Montgomery. And in both of these situations, we talked to the operators, we identified them, identified the needed paperwork that you have to have. You can't just sell stuff on a street corner in Albuquerque. You do have to get a couple of different types of permitting and so forth. And so a report was generated. All this information was sent on to the Homeland Security. They really took responsibility because of possible counterfeit masks. So these 2 sellers that information has now been shared with a special agent at Homeland Security, and so follow-up will be handled by them on that. We received about 4 calls on Sunday complaining about customers not wearing masks in different areas. There were no calls actually for counterfeit masks, so we checked on them, we reported them to the right authorities, and then when officers returned to these locations, on Saturday, they found out actually they were gone. So we checked on them and reported them, and then they disappeared. So we'll see what happens next, but we're going to keep an eye on them. Obviously, that is suspicious behavior. So hopefully, at least, we've done the right thing in that area. Okay, now let's talk, sticking with APD, a little bit about recruiting. Just as an update, a reminder, we've been facing an officer shortage that has been a decade in the making. When this administration came in, we committed to try and bring in 100 new officers every year. As a reminder, officers means everything. It means crimes against children, it means investigators, it means 100 new sworn folks across the department in a number of positions. We just use officers as shorthand. We try and do that 2 ways. We want to bring in some lateral hires. That's not the strong focus right now, but we always want that. So we want to remind folks we're still always interested in lateral hires, but we also just want to hire from within Albuquerque and from within some other targeted regions to try and fill the front lines. And so that's what we've been working on. Now, as a reminder, the last 2 years we hit our goal with respect to those 100 new officers. And this year we are on target to get our next batch of 100. But it's taken a lot of changes given Corona. And so we have some initial good news that things seem to be looking okay. In fact, a little bit better despite Corona, and maybe because of Corona, because people are realizing this is a great way to serve your community. And we also know, look, there's been lots of layoffs and so forth. So we're really pitching this as a career for folks who are interested in being frontline heroes. And so that opportunity our director is going to go into a little bit, but let me share at a high level. We wanted to make sure and step up despite the challenges with respect to Corona, and so our team has been working on that. And the biggest challenge, of course, is that we can't have job fairs and in-person visits and so forth. So we've been using a number of different avenues, including social media and videos, Zoom calls, et cetera, and some real aggressive targeting to try and tap into folks' desire to serve the community. This is a great way to help Albuquerque. And so we know that a lot of folks are out of work, and so we want to articulate that there's another career path that could be available for folks out there who are interested in it. So what we've been doing is also tracking. There's a long process for this. The first indicator is interest cards, and then there's different kinds of testing, and then there's the academy, and then there's training, and then it's like 18 months later they're officers. This is a long process, but we're just going to highlight where we're at for this next batch. And so in February, we've had about double the number of interest cards, and same with March, and actually in April, they were triple what they were last year. So we feel like, at least in the initial process, we're in a very good place. Our testing is June 5th, so you can still apply and fill out that interest card. And so we do want to reach out to folks, and Director David Romo is going to go over how to do that. So we believe right now we're still on track for that 100 despite the challenges, but it's going to take a lot more. So this is going to be our sort of June push. That's why we're talking to you about this. And then over the summer, you're going to see a newly revised marketing plan to try and fill out that second half of the year. So let me turn it over to Director Dave Romo.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Good morning still, everybody. My name is Dave Romo. I'm the Director of Recruiting for APD. We are seeing great interest right now in our initial application process with our good candidates in the community who want to become police officers. The mayor mentioned some numbers that are outstanding compared to last year, and especially kind of during this COVID crisis. Our numbers have doubled and have tripled, and so we've had to think out of the box. We're no longer boots on the ground, like the mayor said, going to job fairs, seminars and stuff like that. Everything is social media based. We're using some job search engines, as well as we've reached out to over 100 colleges throughout the nation in 9 different states. They're community colleges that have law enforcement academies, and we present virtual recruiting presentations to them. And so a lot of these colleges don't graduate till the end of June, August. So our yields from those colleges we still don't have yet, but expectations are high. And again, reiterating what the mayor said, we are still looking for basic police officers, and we want them to come from our community. Like he said, June 5th, we actually had to close June 5th for testing because we were at maximum numbers for testing. So we're testing 203 people have signed up for testing on APD Online for June 5th. That is the most that have ever tested at one time in the history of APD. On June 19th, which is our next testing weekend after that, as of this morning, we have 137 that have applied to test. And again, it's the initial process. As a recruiting unit, our job is to get people to apply online and get them to the door for testing. After that, backgrounds takes over, and like the mayor said, it's a lengthy process, and we're selective. So it's a challenging process, but there's a lot of amazing people in our community that now's the time to apply. And I want to just reach out to those folks that have either had an interest of being a police officer, have thought about being a police officer, and now's the time. You can go to apdonline.com, which is our website, and you can submit your initial application there. You'll also select a testing date. We have academies. We actually have an academy right now of 33 that graduates June 30th. We started a lateral academy of 9 on May 11th. They should be done probably within the next 2 weeks. August 24th is our 123rd Basic Academy class. The way the numbers are looking for that, they're just extremely positive. And I think our recruiting efforts are paying off in our yields of our people that are applying online. So, and we're starting a PSA class. So we've reopened our PSA position. So those young folks that are over 18 years old and want to start their career in law enforcement, the PSA program is the way to go. September is their next PSA class. So, Mayor, I'm going to tell you that we're going to keep our foot on the gas pedal. We are going to break the sound barrier for you and keep recruiting as best as we can. What we're doing is working, and we're just really excited for our future as we continue through this. And even through the difficult times of COVID, we've gotten good numbers. And so as things start to settle down and normalize a little bit, I just think things are going to get better. So we're gonna keep working hard for you, and we want to thank you for the opportunity again. I'll turn this back to the mayor now.
All right.
Thank you. And I've got copies of our stats from during the COVID crisis from February to April, actually to the first couple weeks of May. They're there if anybody wants them. So.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so
much,
much, Mayor.
Mayor.
Good job.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, very good job to the team there. And again, this is something that we want to get to 1,200 officers over 4 fiscal years. We're halfway there. We're on target, but that's just the beginning. I mean, in a sense that just gets us back to where we were, roughly 10 years ago. So anyway, we will keep working on this very important issue. And good news is we're still making progress. All right, so let's change gears a little bit to talk about restaurants. It's about lunchtime, and so we're excited that the state has allowed restaurants to open outdoor dining. Now, there's lots of regulations associated with this. As a reminder, outdoor dining is actually heavily regulated by the city. So in the city of Albuquerque, this is something that we want to share with the public, and also we're rolling out some policies. We're going to be joined by our city councilor who's working on a great new ordinance on how to help restaurants. So let's talk a little bit about this. We've been wanting to try and support local businesses in general, and especially during the time of Corona. And this is, obviously important for a number of reasons, especially employment. And for us, we started by giving out grants, these micro grants to small restaurants, less than 5 people. And actually, these restaurants we funded about a third of our micro grants went to restaurants or food-related enterprises. And so that was kind of the first thing we did to try and help people to bide time until they could actually reopen. And so now we have a window that the state has given us for folks to reopen. So as a reminder, the governor yesterday announced that patio dining at 50% of capacity with tables 6 feet apart and no more than 6 at a table is now permissible. Now, I want to just acknowledge, I understand that doesn't help all restaurants. What we're talking about today is what we can do under that state order. And so we know that just it is what it is with respect to the fact that if you don't have patio space and so forth, unfortunately this isn't that helpful to you. But for the folks that it is helpful to, we want to try and actually do a little more. So we'll explain this. So basically, if you're a restaurant and you have a small area that is outside, or you have access to an outside area and you want to expand, our city, through our planning department, is going to make it easier for your restaurant to provide outside dining and or to expand your outside dining. So we're eliminating a ton of the red tape that restaurants would normally have to do for this. And this includes sidewalk seating. So for the second summer in a row, we did this last summer, we're going to allow sidewalk seating. And that has to do with, you do have to let us know, and we have to have a discussion around access, because we want to make sure that people are safe. We also want to make sure that ADA compliance is there, and that there is safety with respect to ongoing traffic. So we will work with restaurants on how to do this. The good news is we are allowing it, but we have to have a discussion with our planning department exactly on how restaurants intend to pull that off. So we are opening up sidewalks, given some specifications for outside dining. We also want to support restaurants by offering them other ways to expand. This could mean actually using different facilities. So we are entertaining ideas on how to do things like close parts of streets or use Civic Plaza or the rail yards if folks are interested. Now, obviously, that's going to come with all the social distancing regulations that the state requires of us. But we are entertaining those ideas, and we are asking, as in other cities, whether it's neighborhood associations or merchant associations or even our Main Street groups, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to work with you and see if we can come up with ways to keep people safe but allow outdoor dining. So the city's very much open to that, and we have a series of different ways we think we can make that happen if restaurants are interested, and of course if they think customers are interested. And so if folks want to discuss that, they can reach out to our planning department, or if if it's the Main Street organizations through our Economic Development Department. Now, a couple of things too, that also includes parking lots. Our city councilor is going to speak a little bit about how this might work. And so we're very fortunate that she's been thinking about this in advance as well. And so we're also open again to socially distanced and state public health order in compliance ways to use all open space for safe eating outside. So we're going to continue to try and help restaurants be able to do this in a safe way. And, you know, this is something now, obviously, it's very important for economic development for these small businesses, but I think in general, this was always sort of something we wanted to work on with respect to placemaking and just celebrating all our local cuisine. We just have to do it in a safe way. So we're very open to doing that, and we have some space, a fairway, if you will, that the state has given us, and we want to try and use as much of that fairway as we can. So let's talk a little bit about some of the specifics on this with our Director of Planning, Brennan Williams, and then we'll hear from our City Councilor. Brennan?
Mayor, thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Brennan Williams. I serve as the Director of the Planning Department, and from a planning perspective, we do a variety of duties and have duties and responsibilities around town, but one of those is assisting local businesses in the expansion or the construction as it relates to their business. So to the mayor's point, the governor did make the announcement about outdoor seating. The mayor mentioned that we have suspended certain provisions of city ordinance that relate to providing a barrier for outdoor seating to separate those outdoor seating areas from the rest of the sidewalk, the use of the sidewalk for accessibility purposes. And so we will continue to suspend the need or the requirement to put up a barrier, but the planning department is here to assist. We also understand that typically when you've got outdoor seating, there is frequently a desire or a need to have some sort of canopy or tent covering the diners for their comfort. Again, the planning department, in conjunction with the fire marshal's office, will still continue to review and entertain those applications for canopies and tents, but we are here to help. As the mayor mentioned, we want to ensure that from a safety standpoint that accessibility is maintained. And folks at the planning department will continue to work with any member of the public that has questions about what those specifics are, how we can achieve them, and what options, if some are available, to help those standards remain in effect. These applications that come in, we have staff that are available. We will review those and provide feedback on those as quickly as possible. But if you are interested, I would encourage you to check out the planning department webpage. That's at cabq.gov/planning. There are various applications that are on that page. The outdoor seating application is there. So please take a look at that and notify us or let us know if you have questions about that. I also wanted to make sure to underscore that the barrier requirement that we are suspending does not pertain to businesses that are serving beer, wine, or liquor. That stuff is regulated at the state level, and state statute requires that a barrier be provided. So any barrier, if there are questions about that, let us know. But any barrier, suspension of a barrier, not a need for a barrier, would apply to all other types of restaurants or other types of businesses in that situation. As the mayor mentioned, the governor announced that restaurants with outdoor seating or with patio seating that wish to utilize that can begin doing so effective today. If you are a business that does not have patio seating, but you would like to explore that option, or you've got space in order to do that, the planning department is here to assist in that. We can review applications, assist with construction permits, and ensure that other public safety requirements are met. Again, if you would just notify us, we'll be happy to help. The best way to get a hold of us, again, is to go to the planning department website, cabq.gov/planning, or call us at 924-3860. With that, Mayor, again, thank you for allowing me to join this morning, and we look forward to helping in any way possible.
Okay, so thank you so much, Director, and just a brief summary. So number one, Albuquerque's following suit. We're excited to have outdoor dining under the state order. Two, If you want to expand onto a sidewalk, you can, but I want to remind folks what you can't do. It doesn't include alcohol, and again, that's just a state regulation. So if they change, then you can change it, but the city doesn't regulate alcohol sales. 3, I want to remind folks that all the expansion, whether it's parking lot, sidewalk, or street, you can do it, but you have to talk to us. So you can't just go out and put up chairs, unfortunately. And look, it's just because of pedestrians. It's also because of safety with nearby cars and streets. And historically, there's been with tents also. So I just want to remind folks that what we're saying is the good news, all of this is permissible, but you have to check with planning on some of the details. And so want to remind folks to do that, not just do it on your own, because then unfortunately we'll have to go and inspect and adjust everything on the back end. Now, one of the things that'll make this a lot easier is some help with some ordinances that we've got. And fortunately, we've had a city councilor who is already working on this issue, and the timing couldn't be better for some support from council. And Councilor Borrego is going to share a little bit about what she's been working on.
Thank you, Mayor. I like the podium. It's not too tall, so it's perfect. Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank the Mayor because of the way he has handled this COVID situation. It's been difficult, and I also want to thank city staff. While I have this opportunity, I want to thank him for inviting me today. I actually have a press conference scheduled for tomorrow to talk about some things that we're looking at, and I had been looking at prior to today. And I just want to remind people also, wear your masks. It's really important, and it saves people's lives, which could be your family's life. So with that, I think that I want to just tell the businesses, because I am a business owner also, thank you for your patience. I know it's been really tough for all of us, but now that the governor has opened up the outdoor dining, you know, we are cognizant that how, you know, our budget will be affected, and our gross receipts have been affected, and all of you, your families have been affected. So, you know, we understand that. And we're looking for ways. We've been looking at other states and other cities of how they've done safe opening. And with that, tomorrow, Council Vice President and I, Council Vice President Gibson and I are having a press conference to talk about some ways that we want to assist small businesses. And particularly, the mayor mentioned restaurants. We do have an ordinance that we will be looking at to create temporary outdoor restaurant permits in parking lots. And we will talk some more about that tomorrow at our press conference. Because I don't want to elaborate on everything today, but I do want to let you know that we do have a bill that's coming before council on June 1st at our next city council meeting, and that is O-2016, and it's actually an ordinance, and it requires 2 public hearings. And then we also have a resolution that will allow restaurants and retail to increase their capacities. And these are called parklets, and that's a separate bill. It's R-2057, it's a resolution. And both of these bills will be introduced at our next city council meeting. And we have been happy to work with the planning department. I want to give them kudos because I've really been pushing them hard on this. And also to the mayor for supporting us in this effort as the governor has reopened our abilities, and we do have restrictions, but our capabilities are there to bring back our gross receipts taxes and to get people back in business, which is our main goal, and to make sure that families are supported as well. So I want to thank the mayor for inviting me here today, and I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Counselor. We'll look forward to that tomorrow. And also want to let folks know that there are some fees associated with different types of expansion and so forth. Want to remind everyone we are going to waive those fees for the next 3 months. And then they'll be hopefully back to normal with respect to a lot of those things. But for the next 3 months, we're also going to waive those fees so that you can get that done and that outside seating set up. Okay, I think with that, we're going to do some questions if there are any. And most recent takeout, Casa Taco. Brisket tacos, tasty. All right, questions from folks.
We have one question from KRQE. Any thoughts on Councilor Bassan's similar proposal specifically urging the New Mexico Department of Regulation and Licensing to provide a method for temporary expansion of liquor service areas for restaurants and bars?
Question is about another city council idea to expand bars and different kinds of service. And at this point, actually, we haven't reviewed that. We always look at the council initiatives kind of as they come through the process. So I'd be happy to look at it. And, I do know it's really a state issue. So I would actually check with the state and see where they're at on it.
A question from Peter Rice of the Downtown Albuquerque News. You mentioned a possible setup at Civic Plaza or the rail yards. What might that look like in terms of what restaurants could be involved and how they would set up tables and their own prep operations?
So the question is about, what would some of these larger venues look like? And what we're seeing is in other cities, again, if the vendors are interested in setting this up, we'll work with them on it. But the idea is a lot of cities are setting up, for example, at the rail yards, we could have a number of food trucks set up in the parking lot and actually have, these sort of circled off areas for each table and that kind of thing. So that idea would really be around food trucks. It'd probably be similar for Civic Plaza, where we can actually regulate the social distancing and so forth. I think the key to those ideas is, like in other cities, we're asking any association or merchant group or Main Street to come to us and work on that. So, all those initiatives are usually business-led, right? If the businesses don't want to do it and there's no prep room, then we're just not going to do it. We're just saying that we're open to it. And so that vision of food trucks dispersed and people dispersed, similar to what other cities are doing, we're very much open to if others are as well. And those are 2 locations where we could probably do it.
Thank you, Mayor. A question here from Chris Keller at the Albuquerque Business First. What are the fees that will be waived, and is there an approximate dollar amount?
Sure. So the biggest fee that matters to folks is actually from the fire marshal's office. It's about $180. That's standard whenever you need to expand any capacities and so forth. That also has to do with the tent, if you want to add shade covering and so forth. And so that's the primary fee that we're waiving, and that's how much it costs.
Thank you. One other question, not related to this, but from KRQE News. Is the city providing any tax breaks or incentives toward the Amazon Fulfillment Center project?
The question is about the Amazon Fulfillment Project, and is the city providing tax breaks or incentives? The city is not, actually.
Okay. And a follow-up question from KRQE. Was the city part of any discussions for the Amazon project?
For the Amazon project, this was a county-led project, and so you'd really want to check with them in terms of how that all was put together.
Another one from KRQE on the Amazon subject. Are you at all disappointed about Amazon locating outside of the city limits?
The metro is the metro. I don't think anyone really cares about specific borders. And so we like 1,000 jobs, and I'm glad to have it in what I consider is the Albuquerque metro area.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions right now. So.
All right. Good stuff, too. I would just add that I think Albuquerque's thesis is strong in terms of economic development. And when I say Albuquerque, I mean the metro Albuquerque. So we are a city that has shown that we are healthier than a lot of other big cities, even in a time of corona. And we're a city that has lots of land available. And we're a city that has also demonstrated this sort of quality of life with outdoor and space and so forth. So I actually think that, I hope that this is just the beginning of several opportunities that are going to come the Metro's way. All right, thanks so much.
book? It is, would you like it?
No.
Are you sure? Because
Yeah.
they would look really cool.
Yeah, I would look
Talking
cool.
into a meeting with
I feel like you have to earn
the
it.
tactical stuff.
Some things you have to earn.
Yeah, it's the old days. Great job, man. Outstanding.
Nice. Well, hey, keep it up. It's a good, you know, we're